Would you shout out the names?
Oh, okay, so just, we have Bob,
Yep.
Jeff,
Yes.
Joe,
Here.
and John.
Yep.
All right.
All right, let's, do the pledge. It's behind us. Last time we had to use the flag on my phone because we didn't have a flag in there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, this is our agenda.
Thank you.
I'll share it later. Opening question, what went well and what do we need to improve for our Arbor Day, Tree Fest, Earth Day, whatever we called that event?
I should bring in 2 logs I split, or a log that I split, because it shows exactly where the wood of the tree, the trunk wood from the branch wood. And when I split it, I said, I gotta save these pieces. One was one side, which actually shows where a cut was made
Yeah.
after the limb had died.
Oh, like as a demo?
As a demo for.
So this is the problem. And I know we had the plan for this, so the pruning section ended up not happening because where they had set up where the entrance, so they had moved the entire thing over to the pavilion for most of it. Great, it was perfect. Where you stopped to get your little stamps to get your free tree at the end was right next to the maple that we planted last year that we were gonna prune, and it was completely underwater because we had just gotten all that right. So we ended up, and because we decided to put a bur oak in, we couldn't trim the oak this time of year. So for the most part, it really was just
Talk about it.
It was, yeah, I mean, it literally was just Jeff talking, and it didn't go great.
As good as it could have.
Yeah, because it would have been nice to be able to actually make some cuts, do some demos.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talking, so I definitely lost some interest on that. So
We had a woman ask several questions. It would have been nice to have had some things.
like there were people that definitely showed interest, but like that was the starting off that way and not actually being able to trim was definitely something that we were like, oh crud.
Was that more like a weather issue, would you say? Like a combination or?
Well, we need a tree that we can actually prune. You can't have an oak that time of year because of oak wilt and the potential for that beetle who happens to might carry it going to that spot in which you pruned.
To answer your
infecting the tree with
and to answer your question, it was weather related.
Okay.
Because that the area of where that maple that we were planning to prune was underwater. It wasn't necessarily it wasn't the best weather that day, but it certainly was fine.
Okay.
Like it was because of all the rain that we had gotten, because that area was so wet, and because that was where like the entrance booth was.
Yeah.
It really wasn't set up for.
Okay.
I think it's an easy fix. I just think next year we should definitely take a little extra time and figure out, okay, hey, what tree if we're planting a tree that is able to be pruned, great. But if we do another oak or something like that, we need to get an alternative on like, hey, can we get something there that can be pruned? The mulching in the planting section was fine. They had already brought the burr in. So the hole was already there. They already kind of uncovered the area, exposed the root ball a little bit for it. So there was a bit of a demo there to show people like, hey, they brought in some fresh topsoil because I guess the area that they dig, there was some old fill, so it wasn't great quality. So they brought in some new fresh topsoil. That was nice. So that part, the planting and the mulching section went well, but because the pruning started off so bad, you kind of lost a lot of people. Oh well, they didn't really see that happening, and that was fine. But I think we could easily next year with a little thought.
Yeah, I think we just want to be able to punt, and if we say, oh, this tree isn't going to work, it's underwater, we're going to do this one over here.
And that's kind of where we would have had to thought out a little more to pick a new one. Would have been fine.
And Carrie's working on. You want to tell about
Well,
Lepo?
Oh, no, you tell
Okay,
about what
she's been in touch with Lepo to get some donation of, I've asked for nippers, pruners, telescopic pruners, telescopic loppers, and a couple of hand
To
saws
do for
that
some
they
of
can
that stuff.
donate, that we can put, provided by Lepo, get your tools at Lepo, if they can give them to us for free. And we can use these, as display tools to say, hey, these are the kind of tools you should get.
Okay.
And that we can use. We're not gonna let the crews use them.
Yeah, and that
It's
would have
just
been,
for our
yeah,
commission.
and that probably would have been great for the booth too, just add it in.
So,
And
so
like
that
I
we're,
did, and got those pieces that you can show why you want to prune
Yeah.
out
Yes.
and do different things. I found two that will work real good. I got them in the truck. We can look at them on the way out.
The pieces that he's talking about.
Pieces that
oh, I love those.
Yeah.
Alan did that at the different
And I'm
trainings.
sure there's some better ones that we might find,
Yeah.
or additional ones that would be a good visual thing that we can use
I think those are great.
to show people that this is why you want to prune. It looks funny because everyone thinks maybe closer to the trunk, but it's not necessarily where you want. You gotta
Right.
let the tree tell you
Outside the
where,
collar, yeah.
where to prune.
And this is where we're missing Sue for sure. The saplings for the sugar maples, people loved them. They were unboxed that moment. You saw, obviously. So we were telling everybody, hey, keep these in the shade for a few days. They've been growing in the box. We need to get them against sunburn. You know, I took 3 for some of one for me and one for my parents. They
Yeah.
came out fine. You know, they've done well. I've acclimated them well. I'm sure most people aren't. So definitely something to consider next year. When we get them in, we need to get them out and get them acclimated so that we can just hand them out and don't have to give people extra instructions.
And maybe just a different size. Cause those are pretty small. I mean,
Oh, yeah. I know.
if they were bigger, then you wouldn't have had to do that.
Sure.
Because you just hand them the pot.
Well, we could have just handed them the pot. The problem was that they were just not,
I mean, they were white,
they
like the new growth. They
was
hadn't seen
yellow.
any, yellow. They hadn't
because
seen
they
any
hadn't
sun.
seen sun. And that, so we advised them, try to break them into the sun gently.
And it's not hard. We tell everybody, hey, keep it in the shade for a few days, let it acclimate. You'll start to see it green up. You can move it back in.
And
Most
then,
people seem to understand. Whether they actually remember to follow through on it, who knows?
if they did burn a little, they would still bud and
Yeah.
continue to grow. It just would delay them a little.
But we made sure to set their expectations on what they were getting, but something for next year. We probably want to make sure that they're in good shape to
Yeah.
be given out with no real issues. They could be put in the ground if they wanted to.
If you remember when I made that suggestion that we check on Alyssa's nursery and see if she can't grow them for us, when she's up in Cleveland,
Yeah.
we ought to talk to her, because they were still getting them she got those from, where was it? I can't think of the name of the nursery offhand. It's the one in Pennsylvania.
I don't know.
The sugar maples we just got?
Yeah, and they were more expensive
Yeah,
than what
that's
she had
Michael,
said
right.
they had to be. And we ought to check to see if then we could say, hey, could you grow us these trees for this time period, and we can get what we want.
Yeah.
And then we were supporting somebody close, local.
So I thought it went well. I didn't go last year, so I remember that there was some concern about kind of how it was laid out. I thought this was with the pavilion, the way they had the stations laid out, a lot of kids,
Okay.
it looked like we had some good representation. Some of the senators or congressmen were there, like it was statewide and just citywide. So, yeah, some things to learn on that. But all in all, I think it went pretty well. I don't know if we want to look at the banner, the urban forestry banner.
Yes.
I don't know how many commission members it takes to set this thing up, but clearly we didn't have enough.
Yeah.
We could not figure out how to get it sturdy.
So we can look at ordering something different for you
Okay.
guys that would be a little more user friendly. When I picked it up from Mike, I'm like, what is this? I'm like, what is this
Well, because
banner?
the posts, just the ones that go into the flooring to lock it in, it's like a cone shape.
I think we were
And
missing a piece.
We did not have a piece that fit. And so
Okay.
they were basically free floating.
Oh,
But we
no.
leaned it up against the wall. We were in the pavilion. It was fine. But that's something for the future we're going to look
Okay.
at either getting a new one or getting the pieces that
Okay.
it needs. So
I'm not so sure any of that is really conducive to outdoor.
yeah, I
You
mean,
know, you get, it wasn't too windy that day, was it?
no, it wasn't.
But I mean, if you get a breezy day, you can't, I mean, like when we do the pop-ups in the park starting in the summer, there's no shelter. You're just kind of out there.
But even if it wasn't a windy day, even if it was, no air movement whatsoever, it would have fallen over.
Right,
I mean,
that's
it
what I'm
literally
saying.
was.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm
So,
saying.
something that's a little more stable, whether it's a new one or we just
I
fix
think
it.
one might be.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me see who we order like those kind of displays from, and then I will send you guys some options
Yeah.
of like something that's like outdoor friendly and.
And something that might be, if we're gonna do that,
Yeah.
something that might be worthwhile at that point is reevaluate what we have on it. And then if we want to add or take away some stuff that we think are
Yeah.
more better designed.
Because we were thinking of putting that.
Because at that point, if we're gonna get a new one, let's
Right,
think it
make it,
through and be
right,
like, hey,
Make it
let's make it how we want
right.
it if we're getting a new one.
Yeah,
Plus,
and I
we were
would
thinking of
definitely
getting that little
Why don't we
symbol
get,
on there that you take the phone to. On the.
Oh, yeah, the QR code.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we thought about doing that.
That's a good idea.
what about getting
That's access to our website.
easy up?
Right.
You
Like with the
know,
ones you
like
just-
for our groups, we have like 10x10 easy ups with our logo and pictures around the side, and we could use those for the summer park pop-ups.
Yeah.
Is that the one where it's just like, it's on a roll and you just pull it up?
No, we
Is that
have
what you're
those too. No, I
Okay.
mean like a little awning. or
Oh, okay,
shelter,
yeah, I know what you're talking
You
about.
know, easy up, 4 legs,
I think
Mhm.
we,
top goes up like.
like more like a
such
tent.
Oh, more like a
almost?
canopy.
Yeah,
A canopy.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think we have those.
With our logo and everything.
No, not with a logo or anything on it, just the tent
I
thing.
get what you're saying, but like for the pop-up in the parks, if there's not like a spot that's covered, like that was, what was nice about this is we were the only ones that were actually under the
Oh, wow.
pavilion. Everybody else was surrounding the sidewalk, which is fine, but like, it worked out in our favor because the banner wasn't blowing. Like other people, there was wind and they were losing all their stuff. I felt the
Well, we
Ohio
could've
Master
used it
Gardeners
when
lost
we did,
everything.
the event at the.
Yeah, bring
elementary
weights.
school.
Yeah.
What?
When we did that event this spring at the elementary school, we could have used it.
Okay,
Mhm.
And I don't think they're that much.
I can
Which one
definitely.
did we use when we had the drive-through here? I remember it was a rainy day for the tree giveaway.
We've had some, so I don't know.
Yeah,
if
something
it's-
canopy, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it just like one from maybe Parks and Rec that we just had here?
Yeah.
It wasn't like for you guys specific though, right?
No,
Like
it
was
wasn't.
a
It was just a
forestry
white
one?
one.
I don't
I think it
know.
was just
She
white.
got them from some,
She got it from
arranged
some.
them to be here.
Mhm.
Well, I can look into like us having one specifically made for urban forestry that you
That
would
would
be
be
able
cool.
to use.
That'd
And
be
then you
great.
could have
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
Cause
Okay.
you can actually get, for the back or the sides, you could get curtains for
Oh, yeah.
them. Maybe
ours have
get our,
curtains.
and you can get maybe our logo on the curtain
Yeah.
or something.
like for a backdrop almost,
Sure,
instead of you
we
guys having
kept
to
our
do another
curtains
one.
plain
Yeah,
and have our logos on the corners
okay.
and then pictures on the 4
On the 4 roof
roof
panels.
panels.
You got
So that's
pictures of
cool.
that?
Have, what?
You got pictures of those?
I didn't bring my phone in, but yeah.
Bring them to us. I love that
I'd like to
idea.
see
I-
it.
we
Will
need
you
to
email them
pursue
to me,
that.
Jeff, so I can see them, and then we can kind of use that if you guys like the idea of it to like kind of duplicate your own.
but regardless, the way the big banner that we have as it sits right now is basically non-functional unless
Okay.
you're able to lean it up against the wall.
Okay.
It won't stand up.
Well, and that was the problem too, because when I went to go get everything, like I told Bob, I was like, this is all they could find me, because it wasn't like, we didn't store them over here in City Hall, so like Teresa
Sure.
didn't have everything, it was
Yeah.
all with Sue. So it was kind of like Mike trying to find like where stuff was,
Yeah.
so, but I mean, we could start
Yeah.
fresh for sure.
Sure. Yeah, and like I said, it wasn't a major problem, but going forward, if we want to use that banner and we don't have an ideal spot for it.
Well, and I
it's
don't
not
really
gonna
feel like
stand
it's super user friendly to carry or like transport, and
up. Definitely not on that
maybe we can
side.
do a better thing for you guys for that.
Other than that, I thought it went well.
Let's have Sarah go before me, just so that.
Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Okay. So if you recall, Zach and I were here last time. We passed out chapter 8 of our proposed zoning code update. And we talked about it a little bit last time, and then we mentioned we could come back after you had time to read through it. I know he sent out a digital copy as well. So we're just here to get your feedback on the tree preservation and open space requirements in that new code. And if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer, but.
I have a question on page 8. Towards the top of page 8, section 1108.04, residential park space standards. So that if there's a development within a half mile of an existing park, a recreation impact fee will be required.
Yeah.
How is that established and why?
So that's a current regulation as well. I think there might be some small changes made to it in the proposed code, but basically that is a fee that goes to the Parks Department to help with the upkeep of any parks. And I think that's, if I'm remembering correctly, I think that might be in, you said 0.04
Yeah.
and then B?
Yeah, letter A. Yeah.
Yeah, so that just goes towards the park department because, new development, new traffic, new residents coming in, more people using the parks.
Okay.
So it's just for maintenance.
Okay. The next page, I had a question on 1108, number 5 about trees. Number 5B, and it says all replacement trees shall have a minimum diameter of 2 1/2 inches at the time of installation. We usually go with 2 inches for our standard.
Okay.
Right? I might suggest we stick with that.
Okay, great.
Who's paying for that? Well, in that section, are the other people outside paying for it, or are we paying for it? If we're paying for it, then maybe. But if it's an outside group, maybe we should leave it at 2.5.
You're talking about, okay, I get what you're saying.
If a developer's paying for it, why not have them buy that extra 1/2 inch?
I was just looking at consistency because that's what we do.
Yeah, I don't know, man,
Okay.
like 2.5 really is a weird number.
It is.
Most
That's
of them are almost all, as far as I'm aware, 2 inches is a pretty standard.
Yeah.
And the developer is passing the cost on to the,
Yeah. But
yeah,
it's
so
not
it's people
outside.
paying for it, just,
Yeah.
the same way, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna speak specifically just as as somebody trying to be more conservative with it. What made 12 inches the minimum for the diameter? Like, why not 10? Why not? What was 12 inches picked? Is that just what they wrote up? Or
I'd have to check our current code. I'm not sure. Some things came from our current code and some things the consultants suggested.
because that was for in 0.05 B for requirements where it basically specifically has 12 inches or more trees that are for preservation. So if you have an 11-inch tree, it's not marked as a tree for preservation. I guess as someone whose state interest is in preserving or conserving as many as possible, I'd love to conserve a 2-inch diameter tree if I could. My question is, how low can I get that? How low can we reasonably get that number? Is 12 the lowest we can go? Can we get it down to 10-inch for preservation? That's kind of where I wanted to know, like, is there wiggle room to make that a little more?
A smaller diameter.
Yeah, a smaller diameter to make it more conservative for preservation. And I say that just as doesn't hurt to ask, doesn't hurt to kind of push for that.
Yeah, we can totally ask the consultant and see.
I'm just
why
curious,
they
like,
come up
what
with that.
12?
How low can we go?
Yeah, how low can we?
How low can we go? Yeah. How small?
All the trees, guys.
Yes.
Well, Jeff, what is considered brush? 6 inches diameter less?
Depends on the contract, but 4 inches is pretty standard.
4 inches is, so that could be a consideration. And what you can dividing brush into trees.
We were talking about for utility contracts, what's brush and what's a tree removal.
I have a little background. I used to do right-of-way vegetation maintenance for Asplund for multiple years for transmission at First Energy. So,
Oh, okay.
yep, you're speaking my language. I know all about that.
Are there any other comments or questions about the document? It's probably a good, 20 pages, so there's a lot in there, but
There was one question.
yeah.
I'm trying to find it. I forgot the document.
Do you want to throw some light on, the parking area, medians and islands, this page 18 of 23? So I was, when did we meet?
Last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday, so
Yeah.
I was there, we had some discussions regarding that, but I think it would be good to, for the purpose of this group, throw some light on what you have here, and then we can weigh in with our thoughts. Yeah.
Right, yeah, so, the different landscaping zones you mean for a parking lot area, right?
Yes, this is page 18.
Where
Yeah,
these diagrams are.
Yeah, where those diagrams are.
yeah, so we did have, several different areas recommended by the consultant. So those include, areas along the edge of parking and then options for the way that islands could be designed within the interior parking. And as Andy mentioned, we had some feedback at our steering committee meeting that, interior lot landscaping is not preferred by some of those members simply because it's harder to maintain and the trees don't live as long. So what do you guys think of that? And how do you guys like to see parking lots?
Well, we think there's ways of making it so that the trees last
Yeah,
longer.
there's ways to do it. It's just, it's effort and it's requiring them to actually do that effort. I defer to you guys on it, but I think that it's,
Species selection.
yeah, it's right size, right area.
Yeah.
And it's
There's
also
some-
like the soils, of course, the middle of the parking lot soils at that point are not gonna be great. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but that doesn't mean you're not able to get something growing there and have it live a decent lifespan, not just a short, it's just about picking the right ones out.
Oh, there's better ways. There's stuff that you can put underground that can improve the survivability of those trees.
Like what?
I can't remember
Those
what they're all
cells,
called.
you're talking
There's
about those cells? Those cells
And
are
then the
expensive.
type of like you could put gravel with that, what was it, polymer in there, and the trees do much better.
Mhm.
There, you will find out down the line in your class. And if we had our book, we could probably look it up. Oh, he's got it.
Is that something, I know we're down the line, is that something that if we were able to kind of share examples of like what amendments you could do or what ability, I don't know that we necessarily have it right here, but if we're able to bring that to your attention.
Yeah, definitely. You could send us information.
That's what I would
I can leave my
suggest at this
card
point.
and
Instead of
you can email
scrambling
Zach and
for it
I.
right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get too prescriptive, but both of the models there, or I should say options, have a lot of little spots. I would suggest longer continuous strips, for maintenance, because if they're trying to get them, trying to get mulch over there or trees in there, just one solid strip may be less maintenance or easier, than all these individual islands. Because right there, there's like, what, 3, 6, one has 6 islands, one has 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 islands. I don't know, I would think more continuous strips would be better.
Have you ever been to the hospital or the emergency center or whatever it is, what is it, General Hospital that owns that, or the one
On
on
Fish
Route
Creek?
8?
Oh, no.
On Allen. Yeah, it's a
Allen.
Cleveland
Oh, on
clinic.
Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Health
I was
Center.
gonna bring that up too.
long ones, which I think also have a way for the water.
Water filtration. That's what I was gonna bring up, is I don't know who presents this to the different contractors, but tell them that water filtration and stormwater, these can be beneficial for them in those aspects. So even if they're putting them on the, peripheries for, runoff, because, they're all gonna be salting their parking lots. So I know that's a big thing. There's a lot of, like grasses that can do a lot of cleaning and a lot of work, which I know this is urban forestry, but still try and have them integrate all those types of things that can really offset the costs too. So they're not having to put like retention ponds in and things like that, or less, smaller stuff like
And
that.
so often it seems like they wanna make, most of them are elevated, they're
Right.
raised beds, and I wonder if it would,
Mhm.
if they weren't raised. if
They
we
make
don't know it.
impervious curb too, so that's another thing. There's hardscape, there's, understory, there's like underlayment that you can do to filter the water to these, tree islands. But then there's impervious curb that they actually have like openings so that there's no barrier. And so it's not just the water that falls, from the top or irrigation, it's water that's, again, coming runoff. And if you plant the right species, then that runoff can actually help water those trees. And
Yeah.
they love it. They love living in those kind of
And
situations.
instead of going up, it goes down.
Exactly, right.
So just to clarify, to get towards those more longer continuous strips, would you, as the experts, think that it's okay to not have it then be in the middle of the parking lot if they were like on the edges?
Usually is the way I've seen them done is you have all the cars parked, like, they're parking in like this and it goes this lane.
Okay,
Yeah, I
So
think it
through the
still,
middle.
it still would be the middle of that, it's just more, I think things like option A are more, instead of like where you're having those long continuous
Yeah, instead of the
options,
fracturing.
yeah, instead of fracturing it.
So if you look
If you
at,
want, I don't know if you probably can, I don't know if you.
Oh, it's okay. I'm reading. I'm taking
Yeah,
notes
sure, that's what
there.
we're talking about,
Thank
is
you
have no
so
idea what
much.
you're looking at.
if you look at option A in the middle, it shows the yellow area.
Yeah.
And that's what it would kind of look like.
Yeah, and that's, in this instance is what they're referring to, but, I guess the question here at the point, would we want more of those, like basically for each median in this section? So we have 6 end caps and only one of them in this diagram has a median bed going through it. Are we talking like we ideally like more of them, it offers more?
Yeah, more.
Yeah.
Not just that, it also offers more opportunities for shade. People, when they're parking, they want, ideally, they're seeking out the areas where they're gonna be able to get
Oh,
some
yeah.
shade and not cook their car.
Yep.
So as frustrating as it might be in steering committee's eyes of having more of that, if you can do it right, where you're, in this instance, routing stormwater to do some watering in that instance, you're not gonna get that die off. Knock on wood. And you're gonna then be able to provide areas where people can park, their cars aren't gonna cook, and they reap that benefit from, if they're in a shopping center for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yep.
Besides, having them fragmented, makes it difficult for people to navigate, when they're at the parking lots.
Yes, like I think avoiding option B would be preferred if we can get more of these median beds.
Yeah, I don't think option B helps us at all.
No.
And maybe even with the option A, where we're having the median run the length, and they are parking perpendicular against the tree median. If we didn't require every row to have one, maybe every other
Sure, yeah,
row to have a
Yeah.
continuous
yeah.
median.
yeah, well, there's a percentage of the parking area that they'd have to, so as many as they would need, I would assume, to
Right,
get to that
yeah,
percentage.
And there's this whole talk about how trees draw customers to shopping areas, and you're talking about shade and where they
Mhm.
park. So if, for instance, we have these medians, longer medians, and then we have these trees there, it brings people to these businesses, right? And so everybody maximizes, on their returns. So besides the environmental, the stormwater benefits, all of that, shading, all of that, it also brings some increased revenue for people, businesses, and all that. With that provided extended shade and the medians that have the trees in there. So I think the benefits enormous, compared to having, option B. So,
And it's an investment, you're gonna put some stuff in those first years you're having it, it's not gonna shade as much as you think it is, but the idea is if you do it right, you're gonna get that growth where when you finally do have some small canopy built up, you've reaped the rewards of the effort, of the actual effort you put into doing it. So I think a big thing in this would be, if you're gonna do these longer beds, having these curves built in to actually take in the stormwater in that sense would be.
Yeah, there's
So
so
they
much
wouldn't
research about
necessarily
it.
be raised.
That's like the new thing is everybody to see how they can help with, runoff and,
Mhm.
water filtration and purification and all those types of things I even saw somebody built to help with the runoff, the storm runoff it was down in South Carolina area, but they ended up building these huge, cisterns, I guess, wells. And then they checked the flow and then they checked what was coming in and then out. And it was crazy. It was like 3 trees filtered an amazing amount of water instead of it going, because then they have to worry about sandy soils, it getting into their waterways a lot worse than us, who were like, we hit that clay layer, we're good. So it was crazy. It just ended up, and a lot of people are looking, it's a very expensive research, so it's not happening fast, but it's out there. So I would say the last thing, and sorry to totally
No, this is
commandeer,
huge. We love
We
it.
appreciate
but,
that.
so the last thing would be, do you guys then have a follow-up to where you go to these parking lots a year, a 3-year, a 5-year after, and you monitor? So let's say that all of their devil strips or median strips die. Do you have something to where then, as in the zoning law, you would say, okay, we've monitored this after 5 years, good try, but you're gonna need to replant? Or do you just let them go and hope that honor system, they replant and?
That's a good point. I think that.
I don't know where our jurisdiction falls on that. That's not
I know
something
that
you do.
maintenance is a requirement. I would have to follow up and see how often we do those violations.
Right.
And the person to answer that isn't.
Yeah, and that's
Right.
about, we still
I'm
don't
just
have,
bringing it up
still
because,
don't
you
have
know,
arbiters.
Yeah,
Arbiters
they
would
go
have
ahead
to
and put it down.
Well, we
Okay,
don't.
great, check.
They would have
Here's
to
your
get
paycheck,
either.
we're
answer.
done.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So I know we
Sue
said
has all
we did
that
a,
information.
was it that urban forestry master plan the last time, right? And we did land cover change assessment. We looked at trees and mortality rate and all of that. And so, for instance, if there are some parking lots that have these trees, and we do the change assessment, because those urban forestry master plans are supposed to be done over time.
Right.
So then they will pick out, where we are losing trees,
Right.
what are the factors accounting for that, and then where we need to replant, right?
Right.
And then maybe have a more robust maintenance regime that will ensure that these trees survive.
Some sort of check and balance, because
Most
these
of-
big parking lot
Most of the
installers,
ones
they're
I've
done.
seen in the big
Yeah,
parking
They're
lots,
done
They're
once
done,
they're,
yeah.
yep, they
even
planted, they're
though
done.
they're crummy soil, they're in the middle of heat islands. What's killing them is their mowing practices and their mulching practices.
Yeah.
Or
They're
the,
mulching them knee high.
Yep,
yeah.
yeah, they
uh,
volcano them up.
And whacking them with weed eaters and mowers, that's what's
Yeah,
killing them. It's
yeah.
not
Yeah,
the crap.
cars running into them, yep, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's a tough life as a parking lot tree.
I would think,
But those big ones that you were talking about, especially if they were kind of marshy, or wildflowers,
yeah, they do fine.
plow them over or surround them or make them larger, maybe that extra 3 feet really helps with the mulch or again, the impervious stuff that you don't need to change. Then they're not paying money to mulch it.
And
That's what I
I'd
try to
like
tell
to see
everybody.
something like what we're talking about, like, if you go over to Costco, you see they have a lot of nice, I think they're, honey locusts, but I'm not sure, but they have them, every 30 feet and the mulch is piled up too much. But this model you could actually have clusters rather than every 10 feet, you can have them, all together and then almost like a little mini.
And people aren't cutting through in that way too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
helps the parking lot, not that you guys again care about
Yeah,
that.
and so I was concerned also about maybe being a little too prescriptive in some of these where it was saying you've got to put 3 native grass and 3 shrubs, and that seems a bit prescriptive. Grasses, I think, might be okay, but shrubs are maintenance. And like you said, people walking across them, and I'm looking on page 22 now. under parking area island standards, B, a minimum of 1 canopy tree and 3 shrubs or grasses shall be provided.
Mhm.
Any specified area for it, like per how many square feet or anything like that? Or you're just
It
saying,
just says a minimum of 1 canopy tree and 3 shrubs or grasses shall be provided for every parking lot island. I'm like, oh,
Well, and yeah,
I'm not crazy about shrubs, that's all. You know, because
Okay.
people walk over them, plow them over. Grasses would be, I think would be good at filtering out some water, but, shrubs, I don't know. That sounds like a maintenance headache to me.
So, I mean, the way it's reads to me, it's an option, right? So they can
Yeah.
do shrubs or grasses.
It
So,
is.
And if they don't.
Yeah, good point.
If they don't plant viburnum and then shear off all their blooms, it'd be good.
and it also includes other plant materials. So I don't think it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to the shrubs. I think that if we expanded and shrubs or native grasses to be more like, so on this page, C specifically says shrubs or native grasses. And then if you go to, D, it then goes into understory trees, evergreen trees, shrubs, native grasses, ground cover, and other plant materials may be used to supplement the required planting.
Mhm.
So you establish it in C, and then you basically say, or you can do all these other options and substitute. So it's kind of almost like, I feel like it's, I don't want to say it's fine just to leave it, but you maybe even condensing that to where it's like the canopy trees and some combination of these plant materials, where it doesn't have.
I like
to be
options.
shrubs.
I think
Yeah.
options for.
Which is what section
it's
D
good.
gives
Okay,
you.
okay.
So that's kind of where I'm.
But if you go back up to the section that Bob brought up, a minimum of 1 canopy tree and 3 shrubs or native grasses. They're gonna grass everything. It's, pennies compared to trees and shrubs. I think the way that's written is giving them an easy out.
okay. And so are you saying you don't like the easy out?
But I don't.
No, because
Okay.
they're just gonna plant grass on these
Yeah.
things.
But I would fight you on that only because I don't think planting native grasses in that scenario is the worst thing. I'm not, and I don't think we're, in this instance, we're talking turf in this. We're talking more
Switchgrass.
blue stem, like
little
stuff like
blue
that. And I don't
stem.
think that's necessarily the worst thing.
They're gonna be a visibility problem.
Probably, yeah, sure. That's agreeable. So are shrubs at that point though, too.
Yeah.
Well,
Right,
it depends on what was leaving.
and you don't have caliper on the trees either, so they can plant any size.
Oh,
So they could easily put in a 1-inch.
wasn't that covered elsewhere? I
No,
thought
that
we
was-
covered-
There-
Oh, okay.
Was it covered elsewhere or was that just for replacement trees?
I can make sure. I'm pretty sure it's in there.
Yeah, we definitely want to make sure we had some minimum size.
Yeah,
Some caliber.
there currently is, so I'm sure it's
Yeah.
in there somewhere.
Do we have like 2 or 3 minutes to talk about page 2, open space standards?
Sure.
So on page 1, you find where the general provisions, the purpose of the community and open space, tree preservation, landscape standards is to, and then you find 3.3, which will be improve air quality, conserve water, manage stormwater, cool urban heat islands, or mitigate climate change, etc. So the open space standards, you find the different districts, and then you will find the minimum required open space percent of development site.
Mhm.
I think that's also one area that we could. I think it would be good for us as a commission to also weigh in on. So R1, R2, we're looking at 20% of being the minimum required open space, and then R3, etc. You find the breakdown, and then of course open space, so it doesn't apply any. One. Go ahead.
So I'm just because I'm not understanding what is R1 referencing, C1, TOD, like.
So those are the zoning districts. So R is residential 1,
C's
residential 2.
commercial.
Yes.
I is industrial.
O is conservation, and then PI is the new proposed public institutional.
All right, is there a reason why commercial 3, industrial is 0%?
I think it's because this isn't like your landscaped open, this is open space for like gathering space.
Gotcha, okay, okay.
So,
Like parks and stuff like that.
so unless we are using the open space, a space that we can plant trees. But if we're using them, other than planting trees, and they're just gonna be open spaces for social gardening and residential pathways or whatever it is. But if it's for planting trees, then I think the commercial and industrial side, we probably might want to look at it. Now, I know it came up at our discussion in our meeting last time. And the fact that, if we look at an industrial area, we're looking at maximizing the economic benefits. And so having an open space there, the economic arguments seem to be very strong and counted the environmental benefits and all of those other benefits we could get from there. But of course, in those industrial zones, we know air quality improvements are needed, stormwater benefits,
Yes.
urban heat island effect, all of those things are needed there as well. But if it's for the economic reason or the economic argument, then you have, you hear things like, why do we want to have open space, where we're planting trees on, an industrial or in an industrial park? Why don't we use the space, maximize, have more industrial units there and generate more money and commerce or whatever?
Yeah.
But then, there's that side that we also have to factor into our planning efforts, right?
So based on this, the open space areas, the definition, so on page 3. So right below is what we're talking is the list of what is allowed for open space. Listing everything from, riparians, flood zones, wetlands, yada, yada, yada. But you start getting into maybe greenways or land left natural and revegetation. So all that stuff would count as open space in that instance. And what this code is basically saying is if you're a C3 or an industrially zoned area, you don't have to leave any of that. The rule is that my understanding? You don't have to have any of that open space.
So, there are buffers around, so floodplain
Sure.
buffers
Yeah,
and wetland buffers, already. So those are built into other places. So this is just saying, so like if you.
Based on everything that's left after those buffers, you don't need to leave any more open space. Is that kind of what?
I think so.
Okay. So again, I'm always going to be more on the conservative side of it where it comes to like, I want to preserve or have as much space as possible because I know I'm going to get pushback from the other side of it. I'd love to see that be higher if that's possible. I understand the argument from the other side, especially when you're talking industrially zoned areas that you're going to get the pushback from it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Classic is the thing.
Is there a percentage we should request or recommend?
Yeah.
10%?
That's a big one.
Yeah.
I mean,
5%.
Yeah.
Okay.
We will bargain that way, right?
I like it.
Sounds like star high, go low, that's right.
Don't start low.
Exactly, no, yeah.
Can always discount, but you
Right.
can't ever add that money back on.
Yeah.
Is there a way that you could do, like an incentive, the higher, like, let's say you require 2.5 or a 5, and then, but you got to 10, cool, we'll go ahead and give you an incentive in some way because you've gone ahead, you've gone above and beyond to doing. We do 25. There's things called conservation easements, where if you have open land, you've kind of said, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and lock this where nobody can log it, I can't graze it, I can't farm it, I can't do things that are detrimental to the forest ecosystem, but you could do some sort of like industrial, easement that says, hey, I've built my great building, I've got all my needs, but I've got this area over here, I'm gonna let it go to open space or whatever you guys are calling it, and then add in that extra little bit of somewhat of an incentive.
That's I don't know what the incentive would be. I'd love
Right,
I'd love
right,
to
and that's
figure
maybe
that
more
out.
city,
Yeah.
like I'm offering
And that's
up like
kinda where
city's money,
I would
but
love to do that, but it's easy for me to throw that out.
Yeah.
And be like,
Yeah.
no,
Right.
incentivize everything.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
We got the money.
Certainly incentivizing action is always a a great way to proceed. I know we had talked about, some point system, you
Mhm.
recall from that discussion. I don't know if it's in this one, but where you
That's
have
in a different
Tokens, you
chapter.
can turn it.
this is a different chapter, okay,
Yeah.
so where people, I know in the interest of time, but, where you have certain things there, we give you points and all that. Maybe we can look into, for the industrially, zoned areas, incentivizing, the creation of open spaces and green spaces and, planting trees there, and then it will count, just the same way as the point system that we have talked about, where, they get X points for having maybe X something acres,
Yeah.
of space that they've left. And then those point system, I think we would have to, define, how those point systems, count towards the operation, whether it's, something by way of, I don't want to say tax, but something of, green tax, whatever, we can, yeah. So we're probably asking a lot, right? But it might be a good start.
It is in this chapter. Sorry. It's,
On the plus
That's in the
side, there's
community
very little land.
social gathering
What page is that?
space.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a different version than they have.
And what's
So I don't
what's-
think-
what's the y'all warehouse? What
Just keep flipping.
We're we're not affected.
I mean, on my page is page 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to your page
Yeah.
5.
We got
Let's see what your page 5 looks like.
five, somebody or
No,
whatever
it's
they
different.
are.
I think that the other thing would be how it encourages those who are already in the industrial zone to look into some of these open spaces, plant trees and all of that, where they have space, that they can use. Because when you go to, around, Route 8, those industrial zones there,
Mhm.
there are still
It's a
some-
good retroactive way to
Yeah.
get people to get
Exactly.
involved
Yeah.
instead of having to maybe move your base
Mhm.
for new people. You're
Yeah.
not scaring them away.
Exactly.
But all the people that are like, oh, I could, and maybe even just some already qualify.
Yeah, and you could earn those points and however we want to translate those points into.
I was gonna say, yeah, who knows what it could be? It doesn't matter. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. Yeah, get a free
And
T-shirt
sometimes-
for every acre.
Some cities will have a logo, indicating that this.
Oh, yeah, that's
company
true
is
too.
going
Yeah,
to that,
yeah, maybe just
or
even something
that, and then they
superficial like
give them
that,
some,
yeah.
you know,
Community award
So
or
I would love
something,
to
yeah.
make some noise, throw some light on the.
At least the cities have no problem tossing out signs for when new businesses go in, and with
Yeah.
the turnover sometimes on that, I mean, that comes out, something more permanent for that would recognize them would be, yeah.
Yeah. Some
Recognized
recognition.
by the Urban Forestry Commission
Yeah,
as,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
a green partner or
Yeah,
something, I
that's all,
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, put them in a.
Some greenwashing
or
language.
newsflash.
Yeah, right, you just keep throwing those words in until it sounds professional.
So what's the proposal?
For the is it a C3?
Five.
Which one is it?
C3I, I'd bump it up to
Yeah.
5%.
5%,
Is what I would think I'd like to do.
and we can go from there
And
with
and if they come back and say no,
Right,
well,
Ask God.
they ask, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Anything else?
I think we should.
Andy's like, I got 10 more things.
Yeah,
I think we should definitely look into the, more information, like be able to present you guys more information on this whole parking lot situation with
Okay.
extending these beds and being able to mitigate stormwater to contribute to watering these trees, filtering it out. So I think if we, as a group, can pull some information and get that over to you guys or however would be helpful, so.
Yeah.
What consulting
Okay.
company
Or
is it?
even themselves that
Puzzle
go
Buddy.
under the parking,
Doing our
that could
zoning code
be under
update.
the parking lot to help the trees do better, grow better.
So I can leave my cards for those of you who don't have my contact information or Zach's, and you can always get us any information that you'd like to.
Okay,
I'll leave those with you.
we'll keep that on our agenda
Yeah.
and we'll all work on this,
Talk on that.
come up with something that's clear and helpful to, thank you.
That sounds great, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
thank you.
Thank you.
It
Okay.
was fun.
We have not been very discussing things very voicefully today.
I'll pass your card around when we're all done.
We do need
Thank you
to
so much.
approve our minutes, so if you've been able to look at them, if there's, are there any objections to the minutes that were emailed out?
That's what they were. I did look them.
Can I
No,
take a
I'll make
motion to?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, those are approved. And then, Carrie has been working with, is it Linda and Kristen on a new logo for us?
Kristen and Tracy.
Okay,
have-
Tracy.
have
okay.
been working on a new logo that's more modern for you guys. So this is kind of what she came up with just to kind of bring us to 2025 here from what, I mean, I don't think you guys have had a logo since, how old are the magnets that you were passing out?
It looked old.
They looked old when we ordered them, yeah.
It looked old.
Yeah, 7, 8 years.
I was trying to get out. Take
Yeah.
50. I don't
If you guys
care.
want to pass that on, you're more than welcome to. But she kind of just whipped that up for us, just to kind of take a look at.
I like the building, you know, the tree in front of it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of covers it and it's clear. It's not complicated. I think, you know, a child of 10 could look at that and say, oh.
I really like that. I first thing that I'd say if I'm offering a critique is I personally don't know if I'm a fan of the 2 vertical lines down the side. Something about it, to me, if I might be the only one.
I agree.
I like the split color. I like
That
See-
seems to be cutting the tree branches.
Yeah.
it just seems to break it up when it.
So
Like,
more like
it's
a
also-
solid piece then?
Yeah.
instead
Yeah,
of
more of
lines?
a solid piece.
Okay.
I
Because
do
I
like
feel
the
like
2 color greens though. That's
I do
nice.
too. I like that this, in this instance, the design is bigger, it's and then I feel like the lines kind of cut it off but, you know, I like it.
Does Stowe
Yeah,
have a
that's beautiful.
skyline or you guys do the clock tower?
No.
Could you represent, like the building be the skyline of the clock? Is there a building that
I mean, there's
is,
a clock, yeah, the clock.
right, I'm just saying, is there a building like profile that would kind of like bring it to,
Not
Not really.
no?
I'd suggest the Doughboy, but there's not a single tree
Yeah.
out there.
Right.
We need to look at that, yeah.
So you would prefer it then, Joe, that it just is solid, the lighter green straight, and then like
Yeah,
instead of
just-
the line
just-
down the middle, just
Two
solid.
white lines, lose them.
Yeah,
Okay.
just loop the 2 vertical white lines, I think. Other than that, I think it looks awesome.
Okay, great. And that was just like on a whim. I was like, can you make us a logo real quick? And she like whipped that up for us. I was like, I love this. I was like, so
Yeah.
I'll present it. So, but something more modern for you guys, just something like more exciting than.
Now I gotta see this old one you guys are talking.
It's not horrible, it's
It just isn't as modern. That's all.
It's just older.
So this means we get new shirts.
Yes,
Yeah.
that does mean you get new shirts.
new shirts, new banners, new canopies.
We're
new
about to get you
tools.
all new things.
Yeah.
Where's the company car?
On the next part of that, for pop-ups in the park, you guys don't really have anything like giveaway wise. So I've been working with one of our promotional companies to come up with some designs and some options to give away at the pop-ups of the park to get people to like come to your table, do some activities. So you guys had the tree cookies like from last year, and there was a bunch of these left. I just ordered, these are like stencils off of Amazon. And then we have tons of paint that's available through Parks and Rec. And I just did like a couple of these just to like, if you guys wanted to have a craft for the kids at your table, they can literally just take the stencil, dab it with like a sponge and paint it themselves and take it home with them
Okay.
to kind of have like a kid aspect to go along if you needed to like have a little time to talk to the parents. I also ordered like paint pens that you can like design your own little thing with that you guys can take to your pop-ups in the park as well. And
Okay.
that's just using like the tree cookies because you had a lot of like 10 bags of these that Sue ordered. So there's quite a few that you'd be able to utilize. So just for like an easy craft, it doesn't take super long. And then I just did some of the different prints in here, but this has like 60 different stencils. So they would literally just like lay it on top of the cookie, paint it, and then they could take it with them as a little like take home thing. And then they can hang it as an ornament. They have like strings that come with them too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they'd be able to like put it on their tree at Christmas time or, something that they make themselves.
Or they can run around with it.
That they could do that as well.
Is there string that goes with the tree cookies that
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
fine? Okay.
They have
Yeah.
twine. I
Yeah,
thought
there's like-
we cut them and then.
There's twine and then there's like a red and white. There's like a couple different colors that came with them. So you guys should just cut the
We can
pieces
do
in
that.
half. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then for actual handout options, so we wanted to do like an updated magnet for you guys as opposed to the little magnets you had. So this would be like a pretty good sized clip and it's magnetized. You could put it on the fridge and then it would have the logo on there for you as well.
That's the part you squeeze.
Yes, this would be the top. So this would be the part that would be like out, if that makes sense. And then you would stick it right on the fridge. And it's a little bit wider than a normal clip, which is kind of nice too. So if you guys want to
Do
take a
we
look
have
at
a
that.
contact number on there? Of course, there's no one to contact. Yeah.
I say that's our only problem is that there's not like a direct contact right now for a phone number. Because we don't know who's replacing Sue still, so. But that would be like a normal size magnet, and we can order quite a few of those for you guys to pass out at pop-ups in the park.
I
Like,
love it.
Yeah, for the contact, instead of having a contact number, we could probably have a QR code somewhere.
well, ironic
takes
that you
us to
bring
it.
that up, Andy. So
Yeah.
I thought about doing like some little like drawstring bags that people could use. So it would have the logo and then the QR code that they could scan right there for you.
That goes straight to that.
Yeah, and it would go straight to your guys' website. So we could update the information as
Sure.
needed.
Yeah.
That wouldn't change like a phone number would if like someone
Right.
switched. So if you guys want to take a look at that.
That's good.
And then if everyone likes those,
The
we
little
can,
string bags, we're packing, we're getting ready to move.
okay,
We just took about 35 of these over to the clothing
Did
center
ya?
in Forestry County, because they're throwaway stuff. Maybe, I don't think people reuse them. That's
okay,
what I'm saying.
okay.
I know at least in my family, you get it, you carry your handouts home, and
Okay,
what about like, and water bottles are the same way.
yeah, no cups.
Well, water bottles, you just have a zillion of them at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
And I think they've lost. Insulated cups are nice. They don't have to be Yeti, of course. But something that has a little more staying power.
Okay,
And I don't know what that would be.
okay.
I like that you're finding all these ideas.
Yeah.
That's an idea.
It's true.
As far as our promos, just to like kind of throw in the QR code, definitely make sure there's no texture on the bag. That
Okay.
could mess up in printing and then the QR code wouldn't work and it
Okay.
would be a complete disaster. I agree. Our bags are just used to hold things and then they're immediately thrown out. So we have like really, really cheap ones. But we do them bright orange. The clips are like hot commodities.
Yeah,
Our
I'll say
second
24
biggest is chapsticks, which, but out in the sun, that's the only
Right.
drawback. But people love because they're used all the time.
Right.
Everybody's losing them. So that's just kind of another little giveaway.
Can you put the code on there?
You could put the code on the chapstick easily because it's just a printed piece
yeah,
of
that goes around
like
the.
sticker that goes around it. I don't know how many people would like associate, like, oh, but again,
Well,
chapsticks and chip clips, like I could take thousands of chapsticks and chip clips and people would take them.
But the chip clip, could you put in?
I would
Yeah, we can put a
assume.
code somewhere.
So the only thing with
But I
that
don't-
is I can see if they can put the QR code on there. I just don't know placement wise because she had to go to a bigger size clip to fit the logo.
I don't think we need to throw the QR code on everything.
Okay,
I also going to your point about the concern with the QR code on the bag with the texture.
yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not opposed to losing it, making the logo a little bigger and just including the QR code like we had with the handouts at the thing, just including it with
Just
all
put
the
on a piece
bags.
of paper or whatever.
and put it with it. Okay,
Because if, in your experience, most likely it's gonna get thrown out anyways, what's the point of having the QR code? Because it's not gonna be around for them to reference
Right.
later. Maybe then they're hanging.
Well, I like this discussion because I really like the bags a lot.
I love the bags.
But I am concerned about them ending up in the garbage.
now see,
Because
at our
that's,
house,
you know.
we use them because I have little kids. So like we use them for like practices and like swim class. And I mean, we use them frequently at our house, but I also have kids that are small. So
And I've kept them, but I know I have gotten tons of them over the years.
Yeah.
Some of them broken, then I throw them away. And
Right.
So I've kept them,
Or recycle.
but I know there's
You go to
plenty of them.
grocery store.
Yeah.
I have,
Yeah,
but I know
tote
there's ones I
Tote
haven't.
bags, yeah.
So it's, you know, if I have 3 of them already and I get a 4th, I probably don't need the 4th, so one of them's going away.
Lanyards, I find a lot of people like lanyards. So besides being a municipal coordinator for Barberton and Tree, I'm also a Subaru brand ambassador. So we are, all I do is give out swag to Subaru owners at volunteer events. So big things with them would be like lanyards, like that you would put your name tag on or put your keys on as like a keychain. It's not a keychain because nobody needs any more keychains.
Okay.
It's the actual like string lanyards. And
The
then
full length or
many.
just like the small, like that you
Both.
just-
They like both. Something that can go on your wrist, something that's just a little bit more substantial than just like a flimsy, like a keychain,
Okay.
with just the logo
What
on
about
it.
the retractable ones?
The retractable, no. And I don't know if it's because like Subaru owners like to just have it hanging out of their pocket, or, you know, you can put it on over your shoulder, whatever. You can't really probably fit your logo too well on there, but anyways, they love those. And the second thing is stadium cups, and just the small stadium cups. They're just plastic. They are recyclable if you didn't want them. But then you can definitely put all kinds, besides things washing off after
I
use.
say the only thing that is a lot of the events that you guys are going to, other people are already having cups. So
Right.
that's
Are they?
like,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
Because
That's
I
fine.
also
That's
thought
fine.
of like sunglasses or something just for like pop up in the park type
Yeah.
thing. But a lot of other groups are already doing them, and I didn't want you guys to have the same like
Right,
giveaways that
okay.
they have.
Go to
If
the
that
pop
makes
in the
sense.
park, come home with 5
Yeah.
pairs of sunglasses. I love the chapstick idea. I know the heat
Yeah.
aspect of it, so
Right.
it'd probably be seasonal. But we could have totally used it at
Yeah.
Earth Day. That would have been totally fine for that. I like the lanyard idea. And I'd have to obviously see it in practice, like a mock-up of it, but I like the idea of a lanyard, personally, but
Just unique things that people are going to use or don't take
What
up
about
much
pens?
space. Yeah.
pens, yeah.
Not the
Do lots
cheapest
of
either, like decent pens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I would go with the
And
pen.
candy, just straight up
and
candy,
these-
guys.
I will,
I
the
know
chip
it's
clip,
silly shit.
if you're asking me to rank,
Yeah.
number 1 is a chip clip.
Definitely,
I
Def
love
magnet.
Yep.
the
Yep.
magnets.
And,
love
you know, if this or, you know, grocery shopping, recyclable bags, those.
You want to do like a tote bag instead?
Is that what they're called?
I think so. Yeah. Reusable
Go to
tote bag.
Triangle
The
or-
tote bags definitely are a better option compared
Okay.
to those.
So I
Yeah.
can have her draw us
Yeah.
a tote bag. Do you want me to have her draw up like a lanyard and chapstick just to compare for you guys to see?
If it's not too much effort, yeah, sure.
Okay.
I love the idea of doing chapsticks in like non-hot days. I think it's a
Do
great
ya?
idea. I do. As somebody who.
I mean,
uses
that
it a
I
lot.
can't bring enough to trade shows.
Oh,
And people
yeah,
are like,
that.
I need a chip clip, and oh my gosh, you have chapstick. Thank you so much. And even when they're opening it and they're putting it on as they're talking to you, so I have that time to interact with them. But yeah, kids, adults, everybody,
They can find
older generation, younger
Fine.
generation, everybody loves chapstick.
pints.
Mine sent it.
Mhm. That would be hilarious. Oh my gosh.
On the chip clip, is there any way to have like not a QR code, but just something that they?
Do you guys have a website? Do you have any sort of contact?
So we do,
An
It's,
email?
it's buried under the City of Stowe's website.
Oh,
under
yeah, I've
departments.
never
And you gotta
It's-
go-
it's like,
13 I think 13 people have looked at it.
yeah.
Okay, okay, wow, keeping track of that.
I
You're
will say-
1 through
it's-
12,
I
right?
will say, we did just finally start putting things up like
Right,
last month.
right,
It was not being
right.
used.
Yeah.
And so what we did is we put resources on
Facebook
there.
page? I mean, anything?
See, we used to put a telephone number.
Right, but yeah.
I went to
who's
Sue.
yeah, but who's picking
Right.
up the
Fax
phone?
number.
Yes.
Yeah, and the
Well,
thing-
You know
uploading-
what?
we're
I've got her
uploading-
cell phone number, y'all. Let's just go ahead
we're
and slap
uploading
that on
videos and
there.
articles.
I will say this is a point of, this has been something we've discussed
Yeah.
very recently. So
What about
this is an issue.
stickers too?
Like a
Like
decal?
decal sticker.
You want like a decal for your car decal?
Or your laptop or your water
Yeah,
bottle
I mean, I would put
or
it on my water bottle
anything.
and
Yeah,
all.
people would put it on their card or
Yeah,
just show,
I
you
would.
know.
Okay.
I mean, my
I can have her
stepdad
make
loves
us a
the
decal.
Cuyahoga Falls Library. He's got his decal for the National Park and the library on his Subaru. Surprise, surprise.
You want like a round size or like one that's like cut similar shape to the logo?
Oh,
I like clear ones. Could have the logo. You just put on your window rather than on your car.
Yeah.
Rather than, on-
So-
You're talking decals?
yeah, for the
Okay.
window, not for the.
If you're asking me decals versus stickers, I think stickers are easier at that point.
Yeah.
My experience, I put decals on my car, and then 2 years later, I'm like, why did I put this on my car? Because now I gotta take it off, it gets stuck, and you end up either don't wanting it or it gets.
I feel
bleached
like
out for
right
UV.
now, the stickers are real popular for water bottles across all
Yeah.
ages.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, good point.
Like I said, I mean, there's
Yeah,
so many
kids would
categories
put it
right
on their
Yeah.
stuff or their book
My
or
kids'
anything
water
like that.
bottles
Yeah,
are
yeah,
covered.
their
So-
now.
notebooks.
On your laptop,
Yep.
on your binder, on your.
on your
planner,
phone,
yeah.
like your
Yep.
phone case.
So I like the idea of stickers just because
Okay.
that they are being used much, and they're a little more versatile.
Yeah, I see.
And that
I agree, yeah,
You could still put a sticker on your car window. You would just,
people do.
you know,
yeah.
I have.
put it to
Yeah.
a side area that, yeah, you wouldn't be, not right there on the front.
So I will have her make us
Like it right in front of
like
the driver's
a
side, so you can
sample
see
of like a lanyard, chapsticks, stickers, and a tote bag versus the drawstring bag
And a pen.
and a
it.
pen.
And a pen.
Yeah, those are the highlights too. I mean, that's what everybody takes home, and you always need a pen, you always need a chapstick, you always need a chip clip, and then they're looking at it every time they eat chips or
Yeah,
Right.
closing the cereal
Right.
up or whatever.
I can't remember her name, but whoever ran for council or whatever, I have their chip clip on my fridge. I see everywhere.
You must not have worked at that. I'm just kidding. You
Yeah,
don't remember the
right. You
name.
don't
I don't remember the name at this point because
And
it's
then
a blanket.
for shirts, do you guys do green normally? Like what color shirt do you guys normally do?
We did green, but we're ready for.
You wanna do a different color?
I think we could do something different.
Any shade of green is fine.
Yeah, anything.
I like green.
Definitely green.
Green,
You
yeah.
wanna do like a lighter? What color green are you guys, what color is your shirt right now? Is it like
Olive.
an olive, like a
What do you
dark
say?
green?
Yeah.
Something close to the.
This?
between these two.
Okay.
Are you
Yeah, I
thinking
think
something that
closer-
matches?
Yeah, I was
Do
thinking
you
like,
think something that matches this one, the lighter green? Or, I mean, I wouldn't call that an olive either.
No.
I wouldn't call either of these olives, so
See,
I
I'd
don't know.
call that like spruce or olive, and that's about what our shirt.
This color here?
Yeah.
The only thing is if we do
And
a
it's either
shirt that
got a
matches,
grayish.
you don't want it to match the color of the logo exactly.
right.
Otherwise, it's just gonna,
What about like a,
Well, if you put a logo, you wanna have it surrounded by a different color altogether.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though.
What about
And then
like
have
one of those
I
two.
the shirt.
a gray, or I mean, or do you guys specifically want green since it's urban forestry?
I personally don't. Yeah,
Usually the
I'll
green sells
Okay.
better.
That's fine.
I'll defer that to you guys. I don't, I would.
But I don't
would do
mind
gray.
any
I
color.
don't.
No polos.
No polos,
Do a
just t-shirt,
button
right?
down. No, do a button down.
Oh, you want a button down?
Yeah, do it with a collar.
Oh, really?
Really?
I think that's what ours are,
Polos
aren't
make
they?
us sweat too much.
Yeah, what about just a regular little t-shirt?
That's cheap.
Yeah. That's what we're all
Well,
about.
but you have to figure,
You're gonna see all the stuff we're trying to get.
Well, look who's wearing t-shirts here.
I was gonna say, though, like, you have to remember, Jeff, for when you guys are doing like pop-ups in the park and stuff, it's gonna be summer and it's gonna be hot.
Yeah.
T-shirts.
I think- I think a t-shirt for those types of things may be less uncomfortable for you, just for those type of
Okay.
events.
What-
But I mean, in a theory, I could get you the logo and you could put it on anything you want. I mean, you could have it made if you wanted something more professional to wear.
Yeah, you could just send it to me and my wife would embroider.
Okay, perfect.
Care of.
So green color though, you're thinking more of like,
Cause I know like
Lighter
our
this
group, when
time?
we go to different
I
events.
think lighter's fine. If we
We
use something
always
all, but
do
I'm
lighter.
indifferent to it, I'll be honest.
do you do like a mint green or is that too light?
I'm the wrong guy to ask on that. This is where I tap out.
Yeah.
Mint green would be fine.
It's like light color, not, it doesn't absorb a lot of heat. What do you think, Bob?
Like,
So I have a green shirt and it's shamrock green. Everybody loves it. Everybody asks me for it. It's special made. We usually do black or Barberton, like
Yeah.
orange, like safety orange. But yeah, it's a regular
Like the
shamrock,
shamrock,
like green. Great for St. Patrick's Day and great for, just like leaf
Is it
color.
a t-shirt, a polo, what is it?
It's a t-shirt.
T-shirt?
Yep. It's a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm
And I
fine
have a
with that.
sweatshirt as well too. I would say it's pretty similar to this, but a little bit more to the like lime, like a little limier than this. But we've all seen shamrocks before.
Yeah.
And they were shamrock and it's pretty in between those two. If you had to pick a shade in
Yeah, just
between the
bring us
logo.
options.
Perfect.
Okay.
If you see any.
bring 3 options.
Okay,
Everybody go to
three
the Home
options.
Depot, get all the paint swatches in the green. Everybody can vote on it.
God, we've been doing this with tile and countertops, carpet. and-
You're done.
Jeff's about done with it.
Yeah, he's done with the paint samples.
Okay, anything else with giveaways?
No, I think that
Okay,
I will work on those, and then what I'll do is I'll send you guys an email with the updates from Aubrey once she gives me some designs, and I'll see what we
No,
can
that's fine.
do.
That's fine.
And then I'll have the girls
Getting back
update
to
the
it.
logo so that we get rid of the lines down the
Did
center.
we cover everything?
You just have your community management, and then
we don't have time for that, but we did enough,
Right.
detailed stuff with this, so we'll get on to the community management plan another time. It's done, I just have to send it out to everyone, so.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So I talked with our law department and the mayor's office about the student for urban forestry. Because you would have to go back to council, it is
It's not in front of the council.
It's DOA.
yes, yes.
Okay.
So,
No.
but, their suggestion to me was that you could potentially have like you could call it, like, you could literally give them any name that you want. So you could have like
Youth liaison or something.
yeah, like you could give them
Student
any.
ambassadors?
Student
Yeah,
ambassadors.
you could do like a student ambassador. You could call it
The
whatever
goal
you
is,
want.
yeah, the goal is basically that we wanted to do something where either one or two students from like the high school were able to come, and then the debate was, did they get voting power, did they whatever, because I can't remember what village or township had it, but we,
It's like
somebody we,
Avon or somewhere,
that
I
did
thought.
I get it.
and like, so we brought it up at our last meeting, so that's.
So-
There are 2 seniors this year at Stowe going into urban forestry,
Okay.
one in conservation, one,
Perfect.
yeah, and so it's like, they would be.
So
yeah,
you
be
could do
pressing
like a
on the-
student
pressing
ambassador.
on
Also,
Yeah.
like they could still use that on their resume. I mean, you
It
guys
just says
could write a
biology on the
recommendation
degree, don't
letter.
worry
Like
about
they
it.
would still be able to take
Yep.
advantage of it. They could come and participate and give their opinion on things. I mean, for voting power, that's, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think just in general, even if it is just a title and experience,
Mhm.
Yeah, it's for
even
their
just the-
resume.
even just
Yeah.
the voice.
yeah.
Of it,
Yeah.
of something
Representation.
like that.
Yep.
Well, and it
Because
gives you guys a
here's the-
younger input as well, you know. to
And
see.
something like that while it may not be perfect, having somebody like that in that conversation we just had about giveaways, I mean, that's who we're targeting. That's
Right.
ideally. who we want.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to hear what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
The sticker versus decal
Yeah.
would have been great to have somebody like, what are you gonna use it for?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would love to have it, even if it is just some
Yeah.
volunteer time, you know,
I
if
would
they
too.
want to. I think it would be great.
It would be great.
So however we
We should
need to
proceed with
proceed,
Okay.
I think to explore that, I'm fine.
I will find out how we would go about like creating like a
Yeah.
post about it, I guess. Like if you wanted to have, like, do you want them to apply or how would you guys, do you want to invite them? What, I guess, what would be, like, you know that these kids are going into this industry. Do you
Yeah, but
want to?
they're graduating,
Okay.
so we wanna target like a junior this year.
Okay.
Was the
Going
plan?
Who's the environmental
Was the
science
plan-
teacher over there that we,
Alex McMahon,
Yeah,
why don't we have him recommend a couple?
we can. Are we thinking 1 or 2? I know we talked about this last time, either doing 2 at once
I
or
think
doing
2 would be more
alternate.
comfortable for them, like,
Yeah,
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 Yeah.
just because it
One
would be
doesn't
like,
show up. They
yeah.
would still have it.
and maybe ask for a junior and a senior and give each one a 1-year term and a 2-year term, so it's always.
that was
Oh,
my
yeah.
question. too.
Well,
The
yeah.
idea was doing 1 and 1, having
Yeah.
it staggered so that then as one's going, one's coming in, and there's always that.
And they can
experience.
participate in all of your guys' like, any, pop-ups in the park.
Oh, yeah.
They can do like Earth Fest, like you guys, they can come participate absolutely right
Yeah.
alongside you. So, I mean, they'll basically be doing everything that you're doing as like a learning experience
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
So, but it would be great for a resume for them. for
Right,
sure.
and because
Yeah.
like the 8 years or 9 years I've been on this commission, where we've had to vote and it's been close, 0. There's
Yeah,
not,
I'm not.
there's
yeah.
nothing that we are disagreeable on that, you know, and we don't all have to agree on everything, but there's never,
It's never been
it's
like,
not an issue.
we have a.
Yeah.
No.
You need that student tiebreaker.
You know, and it's-
Leave it up to the high schooler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So we would start it out with one of them, like the senior, who's gonna be the senior.
Yeah,
We'll give them a 1-year term,
right,
and then a junior who then becomes the first time in it,
Yep.
would have the 2-year, and then the following year.
Find a new person every
Find
year.
so right now it would be current sophomores and juniors that we actually
Yeah.
Yeah.
target.
This is great.
Right.
I mean, I think talking to Mr. McMahon at that point would be the best way, if he has any ideas for it or any opinions.
Well, until we have, to look through the compact over at Kent to see if there's anyone in Stowe that would like to.
I would definitely stick with Stowe. So I went
Well, no,
to,
Kent's the place where they have the
They
urban
have
forestry.
the-
right,
the
that
place.
I graduated from that program as
Uh-huh.
well, a while ago. So yes, I was gonna say you can definitely find people, and they do junior, senior. So they have junior, seniors, and you have to know, they did have some sophomores, that were in the class,
Okay.
But
but
that's a place to find
yeah.
people
And, but
who
what I'm
would be
saying is
wanting to.
because it's the 6th district compact, I graduated from Cuyahoga Falls, but I went to Roosevelt for urban forestry.
Yeah.
Right.
So you may very well have Stowe, and they would get
That's
the
what I'm saying.
preference,
Fine,
yeah,
so
yeah.
no, that's
That's
involved.
in
We
that
knew,
program.
Right.
we knew that.
Okay.
My brother actually.
Yeah,
did
I
that
think
way
talking
back.
to Mr. McMahon would
Not
be the
for
great
urban
start for the
forestry,
schools.
but
to-
for
Do you have
electronics.
Contact for him.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No.
Roosevelt
didn't have
has,
forestry.
Roosevelt
I
has
reached out.
hands down the
I'm
best
most recent-
vocational
I'm most recent
programs.
graduate.
Okay.
out of
I can
anybody.
reach out to.
Yeah.
They did not have forestry back when I was.
No, I think it started
I think I was well high.
early
My class was
2000s
fine.
or in the 90s.
I think I was fine.
But yeah, there were only about 4 or 5 classes in when I started. And I was just done with my regular high school credits. And I was like, well, I'm going to go into botany at Kent. So obviously, let me go and learn anything I can more about it. But yeah, it was awesome.
Good. We've already talked about Lepo Tools, so we're just waiting here any day from them. And kind of my approach is that if they're not gonna give us tools, we may have a budget for it.
Yeah.
So we may just do it, because I think it's so
Yeah,
important.
I'll offer up. If you
Yeah.
guys can't get a hold of Lepo or anything like that, then let me know. Barberton would be able to help out with some stuff. We
Okay.
get some great tool discounts as well in bulk.
It's hand pruners or magnets, you gotta pick one.
I wish we could give out hand pruners.
Yeah.
I wish I could get my guys hand pruners, but we're mostly, chainsaws, pole saws, stuff like that. But we have, discounts at all the different, like A.M. Leonard, stuff like that, to where,
They're
Yeah,
right
we-
in town.
yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping Lepo jumps on that. That'd be a great opportunity to have him sit out.
I mean, it
Leonard's
sounded pretty
right on
promising when he was
Allen
messaging
Road.
with Bob and I, so.
That'd be great.
Isn't that A.M. Leonard on Allen Road?
Matco, right
No.
by I don't know.
I think they have an office right on
Oh,
Allen
okay.
Road.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but.
All kinds of different stuff. Oh, then probably. Gosh,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Oh, yeah, all the.
I know Davies over there, Matco's over there, the
They have all
hospital's
the
over there.
climbing
There's
gear,
absolutely
they have
everything on
all the
Allen
hand
Road.
tools. Yeah.
Okay, then yeah,
So we could hit them up before the.
start
What's
going
this
around.
thing?
Yeah, they're in
Oh,
Stowe.
what's
Come
the
on
name of
now.
it?
Yeah.
A.M. Leonard, A.M. Leonard.
I didn't know there was one in Stowe.
Me either. That's why I'm like, I'm
Stuff
gonna try
from
and
my
go
catalog
through
in
and
the
find
past,
some
but I
stuff.
haven't had the catalog.
Here goes my next paycheck.
Okay, it's 4:55. Let's adjourn. Are we good?
Yeah,
Good to
motion to
adjourn?
adjourn.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for letting me crash your party here.
No, it's
No,
meetings.
you had some good stuff.
Are we turned off?